George isn't dead. To this day, he is still in a coma, living like a vegetable, which is much worse. It would have been merciful if he died, but he didn't. There's a chance he's enduring all these years, still conscious. After this major incident, we wanted to shut down the experiment and free the remaining subjects. The whole team wrote a manifesto containing details of the horrifying events so far, but it only made the bigwigs want to keep the experiment going more. They were very interested in the results. Monsters. And I, for one, am a monster by association. I stayed. My career would be ruined if they released information about my participation in this unethical project, and I was too deep into this to not see it through to the end. Day 80. It's fascinating to see how humans deal with mourning. Most of us need to be let alone 90% of the time we spend grieving. But the 10% of interacting with other people and feeling their support is crucial. Without it, you fall apart. George wasn't dead, but everyone could comprehend he might as well be. There was no optimism with his recovery, and the overwhelming feeling of hopelessness tore the family apart. Maya locked herself up even more. She spent the whole time keeping her mind busy and active, mostly reading. She used to play the piano ever since she was a little girl, but we purposely didn't put a piano in the house. She started to compose songs using a website that emulated the piano. Back then, smartphones weren't common, so the subjects didn't have phones, only computers. I smiled. She was strong and resourceful. It pained me to know she was never leaving this place alive. How long do you intend to keep us here? 6 months? 1 year? Sandra's words stuck on me, because I couldn't tell her an answer I knew by heart. This is the cruelest part of our experiment. There's nothing to look forward to. We're keeping you here forever, until every last one of you dies. Day 83. Regis punched and smashed all his handiwork. The food will be very scarce next month. Unfortunately, by destroying the commission pieces, Regis didn't earn enough money to afford feeding all his family properly. Normalcy. Day 88. For a while, the remaining subjects tried to behave as a family, but as soon as something didn't go as expected, they exploded in rage and tears. Regis and Sandra physically fought, and Maya had to choke her father with her bare hands until he passed out. I thought he was going to kill you, she offered to her shaky mother, then locked herself in her room. The peace had lasted a mere 2 days. Day 97. Just like George, Sandra has been talking to someone that's not there, and they're fighting. She doesn't eat anymore. Regis and Maya fought over what little food they could get that week. None of them seems concerned with Sandra. She's too weak for this. She's better gone. Maya repeated this 103 times. Day 104. Sandra lost a lot of weight and isn't sleeping. She just walks in circles around the room calling for George and arguing with an invisible being. Her broken mind seems to have regressed to her son's childhood. She keeps baby-talking with him. She giggles and coos too. It's a little sad. Maya took upon herself cleaning George's room. She had removed the extra gore earlier, but only now really took the time to go through his things. Maybe understand why he took his life in such a brutal way. She found a whole notebook filled with the words, "Don't go into the closet." The writing gets more and more desperate until you can barely decipher his words. She didn't go into the closet. Day 106. Sandra used the last of her strength to gouge out her eyes with 2 spoons. Maya tried to help her, but she didn't let her. The woman begged to be left to die, and neither her husband nor daughter dared to stop her. They clearly weren't against it. I have to praise Sandra for her creativity. After George's first suicide attempt, we removed all the knives and potentially piercing objects from the house. It made everyday life a nightmare because they weren't allowed to own a single pair of scissors and could only eat using spoons or their hands. Speaking of eating, still not enough food. Maya is rationing hers wisely. Regis is a mess. I'll be joining Karina now. She was George's twin sister. You don't remember her because you were a baby too, but she died on her first days. Your father accidentally let her fall from the bed. These were Sandra's last words for Maya. Day 111. Maya keeps telling herself, don't go into the closet, and shivering. She wrote it too, but not as many times as her brother, and nowhere near as desperate. Under the last line she added, there's a presence there, something brown and evil. The camera inside the closet still doesn't work. The cameras pointed to the closet malfunction constantly, with no apparent reason. They get normal whenever you put them somewhere else. Day 116. We removed Sandra's body the same way we did to George. Then today we symbolically put a cross in the garden. I'll briefly explain that the house is completely inside a building, but they have a small winter garden with tall plexiglass to let the sun in. Maya found it eerie to have a graveyard in her own house, but she still keeps busy. She's composed enough to learn things and is teaching herself Japanese. Regis keeps calling for Sandra. During the night, he goes to their old bedroom's door and knocks desperately until he falls asleep on the floor. The thing is, the door is unlocked and open. Day 223. Regis lost touch with the reality. Now he knocks on Maya's door and thinks it's Sandra whenever he sees his daughter. She's been locking him in during the whole day as he keeps screaming and crafting the wood pieces to make money and feed herself. She's been feeding her father with the bare minimum to survive. Dr. Ivanov thinks she doesn't want him to survive, but still can't find the courage to let him die. Having to take care of someone gives her purpose, and while annoying and demanding, it's better than being alone. Day 225. It's Maya's 16th birthday. We sent in a beautiful cake. She bitterly laughed and accused us of having a twisted sense of humor. She gave Regis a small piece and he went hysterical, refusing to eat. He thinks Maya is dead and Sandra is delusional. Day 234. Maya was doing well until today. Regis is malnourished, and his sclera is all bloody red, protruded veins. I think he went blind. But he still somehow had the strength to free himself from 3 locks and find Maya. She was at George's room, trying to analyze his computer to get some answers about his death. We still don't know how. It all happened in a matter of seconds, like it was some unknown force. Regis broke into the room and tried to force himself on his daughter, still thinking it was his wife. The human in me didn't want to watch. The human in me wanted to interfere. But the sociologist, thirsty for a peek at the darkest parts of his mind, watched in fascination. Maya was taken by surprise, which gave Regis the upper hand, but in a few seconds she was able to recover. She had been eating and sleeping properly, and we knew she was strong enough to literally squeeze his neck to death. But she didn't do it. She shoved him in the closet and locked it. Day 235. We keep hearing Regis's screams on the closet's microphone. It's maddening. He's begging to be killed, and you could hear faint noises of skin and hair being ripped off. Please, please, someone free me from that. Please, 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 please. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this part 2 of the 3-part series of The Family Experiment. Part 3 will be coming out shortly. Special thanks goes to my patrons for continuing to support my content.